Let's face it, as a snow removal vehicle operator, a fresh blanket of snow doesn't exactly have a singing winter wonderland. In all of its beauty, lurking beneath that beautiful blanket of snow is a multitude of hidden hazards. And those hazards can put your life in danger, cause severe damage to your vehicle, and put innocent bystanders at tremendous risk. So whether you plow snow professionally or independently, it is your personal responsibility to follow safe operating procedures. No matter how much experience you have, plowing with safety in mind will not only help you arrive home safely, but will also protect your vehicle and community from damage. Beyond your personal safety, knowing how to minimize hazards is important, and most of it starts with understanding the pre-trip inspection. So we'll cover what to look for, why you're looking for it, and what you should do if you find it. Next, we'll talk about the safe operation of your vehicle and the plow, and things like plowing on different road surfaces, steering, braking, and sharing the road with the many motorists who don't know or who seem to ignore that you have the right-of-way. And finally, we'll discuss the weather hazards that make this work even more challenging. Dealing with icy roads, working with poor visibility, and the unspeakable, getting stuck or having a vehicle break down. Performing an inspection of the vehicle and plow is the first step to a safe and productive run. And remember this, if you take the time to find the problems before you start your route, you're less likely to end up stranded while on the route. So, in addition to a normal pre-trip inspection, which should automatically include mirrors, wiper blades, tire tread and pressure, brakes and fluid levels, there are some other items that should be looked after to ensure that the vehicle can withstand the challenging conditions ahead. First, walk around the vehicle and clear away any snow or objects that can obstruct the headlights, tail lights, or warning lights. And this is to ensure that you can see and be seen once you get on the road. Now, in most states, the Department of Transportation has set specific lighting requirements for snow removal vehicles. Therefore, it is your responsibility during a pre-trip inspection to make sure that all the lights on the vehicle are functioning properly. Enhanced lighting on the vehicle will help in alerting others of your presence and also provide better visibility regardless of the weather conditions throughout the day and night. Next, check to make sure that the plow is secured to the mount and that all pins are locked in place. This is also a very good time to adjust the shoes for the road surface that you'll be clearing. When plowing on dirt or gravel, you should lower the plow shoes, and this will raise the blade and prevent it from gouging the gravel or dirt surface. On the other hand, when on a solid surface, you'll want to raise the shoes or remove them so that the blade can get as close as possible to the road surface. And this is also a very good time to look for crack welds and possible hydraulic fluid leaks. The loss of hydraulic fluid can cause equipment to operate abnormally, and it can cause permanent damage to the hydraulic system if not attended to and serviced properly. If you've noticed anything out of the ordinary, it is your responsibility to report it to your supervisor. And remember, preventative maintenance always makes the most sense. Less downtime means more uptime. Since transmission damage is another common problem, do your part to prevent a transmission breakdown and check your transmission fluid often. Burnt or insufficient fluid can lead to major transmission problems, and this often occurs on vehicles that are overworked or overexerted. Statistics show that 9 out of 10 transmissions that require an overhaul are due to overheating. And let's face it, most vehicles were not designed for the abuse that snowplowing puts them through. Constant pushing of heavy loads, stopping, braking, and backing up puts the transmission under tremendous strain. And this activity also produces really poor gas mileage. So, it is extremely important to make sure that you always start your run with a full tank of gas. While traveling, refuel often, keeping your tank near full, and this will help to prevent possible ice forming in the tank and fuel lines. It sounds like common sense, right? But there are drivers who ran out of gas while on their route, only to end up stranded in a cold cab waiting for help. Now, during the course of snowplowing, loose items in the cab of your vehicle will definitely shift. In fact, they will not only shift, but many bounce around like a ping pong ball in a Powerball drawing. Therefore, it is highly recommended that you clear the inside of your cab of any loose clutter like soda cans, trash, or tools. Tie down anything with bungee cords that could also become harmful or cause injury if it's slammed into you while driving. It's also a good idea to make sure that the mounted fire extinguisher is fully charged and recently inspected. And as the final step in your pre-trip inspection, test your two-way radio and make sure that it works. Okay, so you've done your inspection, filled up the tank, and you're ready to hit the road. But what if things don't go as planned? Will you be prepared? Let's talk about that. Keep a well-stocked emergency kit in your cab at all times. An emergency kit can be one of your best defenses against the unexpected hazards like vehicle failure, getting stuck in the snow, or even dramatic weather changes. And this kit should contain things like a flashlight with extra batteries. And it should also include other essential items like an ice scraper, jumper cables and flares, tools, windshield fluid, and a snow shovel, along with a fully charged cell phone. A first aid kit should also be part of your emergency kit. Review the contents of your first aid kit and replenish any essential items such as bandages and an antiseptic. Now, regardless of whether you plow in a remote area or within an urban community, it's a good idea to bring an extra change of clothes along with you on every ride. And don't overlook packing extra socks, gloves, and a hat. And this accomplishes two things. One, you'll have additional clothes to wear should the temperature drop. And two, you'll have something to change into should you need a set of dry clothes. And while at it, take along a gallon of drinking water and some high-energy foods like peanut butter and jelly, crackers, granola, or trail mix. As a snow removal operator, there's the potential to work some pretty long hours or around the clock. So think ahead. Stay in touch with the weather reports and get prepared for the expected and the unexpected. If you know that there's a storm coming, try to get some extra sleep ahead of time, and this will help you to be fresh, awake, and aware when operating your equipment. Storm conditions can change at the drop of a hat, so stay tuned to the radio for weather updates and changing forecasts. If at all possible, it's really a good idea to take a dry run of the route before the first snowfall of the season. Because once obstacles are underneath the snow, there's no way to see them, which means you won't be able to avoid hitting them. A dry run can provide an excellent opportunity to map out the route and note any hazards that can get covered with a blanket of snow. So you'll want to take note of things like potholes, fire hydrants, and storm drains. And there's also things like curbs, stumps, posts, mailboxes, and even rocks near embankments. Hitting or running over any of these obstacles can cause serious damage to property and your equipment. In some parts of the country, snow conditions are present well into the spring, and this can create an unusual amount of accumulated snow during the season. So, you'll need to know where to put all this snow. So during the dry run, you can locate the designated drop-off points, plan which direction you may want to push the snow when it accumulates, and the techniques to use in areas that may be challenging. So here we are halfway through the program, and we're finally getting ready to start plowing. And it just goes to show that there's more to your job than simply pushing some snow around. Preparing for a safe run is just as important as having a safe run. So to get you going, I've got to cover a few basic things. 1, remember to fasten your seatbelt. 2, use your low beam lights. This will help other drivers see you in both broad daylight and at night. High beams, especially bouncing off fresh snow, can blind oncoming drivers and create a dangerous situation considering the already hazardous conditions. 3, keep your vehicle under control. How do you do that? Well, the first thing to understand is that there are natural forces acting on your vehicle. You know, things like gravity, inertia, momentum, kinetic and potential energy, friction, and centrifugal force. But all you really need to know is how to use the laws of physics to your advantage. Accelerate slowly. Gradual starts will help your tires get the best traction on slick surfaces. So, build up your speed little by little. And the same idea applies to braking. Do it gradually. If you need to slow down the momentum of your vehicle quickly, don't slam on your brakes, because this will only cause your vehicle to go into a skid. Rather, use a technique called threshold braking. Basically, downshift and allow engine compression to hold you back. Then you can add the gentle pressure of the brakes to come to a stop. Another way to keep the vehicle under control is to watch the size of the bite you take. Wet snow is heavy snow, and heavy snow requires more force to move it. This is usually where the most harm occurs on the vehicle. Inexperienced drivers tend to hit large bites of snow hard and fast, only to inflict unnecessary forces on the vehicle, equipment, and driver. Remember your physics. To have good solid force, you need good momentum and good traction. That's why so many experienced drivers will emphasize that plowing snow requires you to pay attention to the feel of the vehicle. If the vehicle feels like it's slowing down or slipping, ease up on the bite. In other words, put lighter loads of snow on the plow. 4. Look where you're going. When in reverse and you can see out the rear window, then look over your right shoulder and watch where the vehicle is heading. But remember, no matter how many times you've gone forward and reverse, don't ever stop looking where the vehicle is heading. Most crashes are a result of a driver who got complacent and got tired of looking when they threw the vehicle in reverse to back up just a few feet. Now, if you can't see out the window, then obviously you've got to use the mirrors. But remember, this is not always your safest option. Of course, the most dangerous option would be to put your head out the window. And not only does this limit your vision by creating an enormous blind spots on the other side of the vehicle, but it's also extremely dangerous as well. Hidden objects under the snow or in the road can cause the vehicle to stop suddenly and cause serious injury or property damage. And finally, number 5, watch your speed. When it comes to speed, do not exceed the limit of the roads you are clearing or the limit set by your organization for snow removal vehicles. If you are not sure of what the limits are, then consult with your supervisor. When approaching a soft pile of snow, do it at a safe rate of speed. Of course, use slower speeds when approaching harder packed snow. A frozen pile of snow that is approached too fast can cause a sudden impact that can severely damage equipment or possibly throw the driver from the vehicle. The key to this is to keep a slow, steady speed while working. A designated location to drop excess snow is known as a drop point. They're usually scouted out and assigned by your organization ahead of time at the beginning of the season. When you are moving snow to drop points, only use the designated locations. These assigned areas are basically designed to help prevent snow from creating an inconvenience to the general public. And if you're not aware of designated drop points, then use your common sense and avoid putting any snow on private property, side streets, sidewalks, or on top of a structure. And although plowing in a timely manner means that you would most likely be creating a windrow or berm, do your best not to pile snow in front of a mailbox, dumpster, water drain, electrical box, or fire hydrant. The biggest danger when plowing is other motorists. Although snow removal vehicles have the right-of-way, other drivers will unfortunately ignore this and will rarely yield. Therefore, when it's safe, it's best to pull over and allow the traffic to pass. Now, if you're part of a tandem driving team, this traffic can cause some highly dangerous situations. So it's especially important to pay close attention to the other vehicles along with your tandem partner. Basically, you want to try to share the road respectfully. This can also include times when the snow has forced pedestrians off the sidewalk and into the street. Remain aware and use extra caution when in these environments, making sure to slow down and adhering to your organization's guidelines for sharing the road. When you're driving any vehicle in deep snow, getting stuck can be somewhat of a typical occurrence no matter how safe, experienced, and responsible you are. Deep snow can still get the best of your vehicle from time to time. So, what do you do if you get stuck? Well, every stuck is different. So what makes them alike is that they all involve a lot of shoveling. And this is where that shovel you have in your emergency kit comes in handy. First, try to identify what has caused the vehicle to get stuck. Usually it's deep snow or a tire with limited traction. Shovel around the tire enough for it to move. Once the tire appears free, throw some sand or salt beneath the wheels for additional traction, and then of course attempt to drive out. If you weren't moving, do not give it more than a light touch on the gas, because overworking your vehicle can cause engine damage and will likely require more shoveling. If it was unsuccessful, stay in the cab long enough to warm up before you try again, because it can take several attempts to clear the vehicle, so while doing this, you'll want to stay warm and avoid becoming fatigued from the cold. If you can't free your vehicle after a few tries, use your two-way radio or cell phone to call for help. Finally, when you're done with your route and it's time to park and go home, remember these last 3 points. 1. Before you turn off your vehicle, allow it to idle for at least 10 minutes. This helps the transmission fluid to cool down gradually and helps keep the vehicle operating better. 2. Whenever you park your vehicle, never leave it parked with the blade in the air. Always make sure to lower the blade and let it rest on the ground. And finally, number 3, where there is snow, there is either sand, salt, or some other mixture to help melt the ice and provide better traction for drivers. Now, some of these substances are chemical-based and have been chosen as a substitute to traditional materials. But in recent years, many regions have implemented local policies on the use of de-icing materials to help protect the environment. So, regardless of what environment you reside in and what materials are used, it's important to always remember that sand, salt, and chemicals can be harmful to your skin and clothing. So, be sure to wash your hands and clothes at the end of every shift. But extra caution should be taken if you've been around any kind of de-icer that uses calcium chloride. This chemical is an irritant and can cause serious skin irritations and chemical burns. And that is why protecting your hands and eyes by wearing the proper PPE will help you to avoid any unintentional contact or inhalation. Unfortunately, even with the best laid plans and with every conscious effort to remain safe, tragedy can strike. And in these hazardous conditions, there is always potential for you, another driver, or a pedestrian to be seriously injured. And in the event that your vehicle does hit something or someone, contact your supervisor immediately. It is from the tireless efforts of snow removal operators that entire transportation networks, communities, cities, and businesses are able to stay operational during some of the most challenging winter storms. So prepare for safety with inspections and an emergency kit. Operate your vehicle and plow with care. Be respectful when you're sharing the road and check the weather often. All this, and you should have a safe season year after year.